Well, hello from the newborn bubble. We did it. Remy was born less than a week ago. He's 6 days old today, and I don't even know where to begin because there's just like so much I want to catch up on in this vlog. I want to share my birth story at some point. I want to share all the things I'm doing postpartum to recover. I feel really good. Knock on wood. Surprisingly, things change every day postpartum, you know? You never want to jinx yourself. And I also just want to document little snippets of what life looks like right now, because honestly it just goes so fast, and this is my last baby, so I'm just really soaking up like how it feels. It just feels like we're in this alternate reality. I'm cozied away from society, and it just feels really special, so I want to share that. But in brief, I'm obsessed with this guy. He's literally perfect. He's so chill. I think it's true what people say about second babies. He was born really fast, and so far he's kind of just like a chill guy, and we are so grateful for that. Aren't we, Reverend? So for starters, I am living down here in our guest room. So we live in a 2-story house. Our primary bedroom and Nico's bedroom are upstairs. And I had a great delivery. I did not tear this time. Like, I feel good. I feel like I could go up and down the stairs, but I worked with a pelvic floor therapist before giving birth. I did the same with Nico because I just want to be really proactive about not having like long-term issues. I think that's just one of my fears, not even like externally changing after birth, but you know, just being afraid of like having lower back pain for the rest of your life, or like your abs not being able to go back together. And I don't know, I just really didn't want that to happen. No one does. So I've been working proactively with this pelvic floor therapist for, I guess, years now, because I worked with her with Nico, and she is just like, do not go up and down the stairs for like the first like 3 weeks. I don't know if I'll make it that long. But I keep hearing her in my ear. She's also like, stay off your feet for also like 3 weeks. Again, we'll see how that goes. But so far it's been a week of me really trying to stay off my feet. She says to follow the 5-5-5 rule. Again, I have a toddler. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to follow this perfectly, but it's a guideline. First 5 days, you're in bed. Next 5 days, you're on the bed. The next 5 days, you're near the bed. And it is tricky because I think, especially in our society, you just want to like be able to bounce back, and you want to just be able to do everything. And it's also a little tricky when I actually do feel good, like I'm not bleeding much, I'm not in pain, and so I kind of feel like, let's go for it. But I hear her little voice in my ear that says, in the long run, I will feel better if I take it slow. So all of that to say, I am sleeping in the downstairs guest room so that I don't have to go up and down the stairs. And I kind of love it because it's like this sweet little haven in the house. It's just me and Remy at nighttime. That works best for us because I'm waking up like every 2 hours to feed him and to nurse him. And so it's just kind of nice to like be in our own space, on our own level. I don't have to worry about waking up anyone else. And I make it kind of like moody and vibey. I have the lofty lamp here, and there's a red light setting. So I just turn on the red light setting. I have little snacks underneath the table. It's just kind of like makes feeding in the middle of the night way more fun when you're eating like an organic Pop-Tart. And B, I'm starving because I'm literally nursing every 1 to 2 hours. Because you love your Milky, which we're very happy for. You love your Milky. Yeah, he's a very good eater. I'm so grateful I can breastfeed again, and that's going really well. Anyway, so let me show you a little bit of how I have set up down here though. Making the bed nice and cozy. I always have my water here. Again, with breastfeeding, I'm just like constantly eating and drinking, and I've been using, what are those? Element, the like electrolyte packets. I haven't really used those before, but they're really tasty and they help hydrate you more. So I'm doing like one of those a day. I have the snacks underneath there. Some of them are fun, but like mostly very nutrient dense and healthy. Like just obviously trying to like get honestly the most amount of calories and like the least amount of bites, but like very nutrient dense calories. So I did a Thrive Market order before he came, stocking up on all of my favorite snacks, things that are like high in fat and fiber and that kind of stuff. We are using this new bassinet. We use this with Nico. With Nico, we rented it, which is a great option because it's pretty expensive to buy the product, but you can just rent it month to month. That way, like, if you like it, you can keep it. If you don't, you can send it back. But then this time, my sister actually bought it for her second kid, so I'm borrowing it from her before she sells it. Which, if you buy it full price, you can basically sell it for the same price. Like, I see them on Facebook Marketplace. So I do feel like it's great. I love it because, do you want me to show it to you? Let's see. It's like the swaddle clips into the bassinet, which honestly just gives me like peace of mind because, I don't know, especially like that first week, you're just like really jittery and a little bit anxious. The knowing that he's like strapped in at night and cannot roll over allows me to actually be able to like sleep because I just know that he's safe. And it's just scary, it's spooky at the beginning, they make weird noises and they're gurgling, and you just wanna know that as you're sleeping, they can't move. And like, you can't roll over, and you're just gonna be able to breathe perfectly. And I also know that he's being comforted. It like slowly rocks and plays like white noise as they're sleeping, and so I just feel good knowing that he's safe and calm. It took a couple days for him to get used to it. I don't know if it was him getting used to the snoo or if it was him waiting for my milk to come in. So those first few days, you only have colostrum, which is like your pre-milk. And I actually had quite a bit. And I was able to like collect some even before giving birth and put it in the freezer. They call it liquid gold because it has like so many nutrients. So if he gets sick, knock on wood, I'll thaw it and give him like extras, like a booster. And it stays good in the freezer for 6 months. So I had plenty of colostrum, and yet still he just was so hangry. Like he just wanted to eat like every hour, and I could just tell like it was not enough. So those first few days are a little bit tricky because then he's waking up constantly to keep getting more and more milk. Then my milk came in and he was like, yes. I think that was like 2 days ago. The first night after my milk came in, game changing. Like he would sleep solid 2 hours, wake up and feed, solid 2 hours, wake up and feed, which sounds crazy, but to a postpartum woman like me, 2 hour blocks is a dream. So that actually happened last night. I slept 2 hour blocks altogether, probably got like 6 hours of sleep, and I feel amazing. We'll see how long that lasts. Once he's back up to like his birth weight, I think he'll sleep a little bit of longer stretches, and then once they hit 12 pounds. So there's like little milestones that you have where you're like, this isn't gonna last forever. Once he's 12 pounds, he'll probably be able to sleep more and not have to wake up so much to eat. What else do I have in here? Okay, so when I'm like in the middle of the night, I'm sleeping right here, right? He wakes up, I pull him out of the snoo. I'm not gonna get out of bed to change his diaper. Let's be real. Like, I have a changing pad in the nursery. One day we'll be using that. We use that with Nico. But instead what I do is I roll over and I grab my diaper stuff and I change him on the bed. Another reason why it's kind of nice just these first few weeks to have the bed to myself, because I have all this room. And I have a bunch of these pee pads. I lay this out on the bed in case he poos or pees. Poos or pees. In case he pees or poops. I lay this out. I have my wipes and my diapers. I have like a stack of diapers in the middle of the night so I don't have to get up for them. Coterie are my favorite. Organic, best quality, no blowouts. We love them. We still use them with Nico, and auto delivery subscription. They're the best. So yeah, I always have this little stack of diaper stuff. I always have an extra onesie as well in case he like leaks in the middle of the night. Just avoiding any reason to have to get up and out of bed. So yeah, stack of diapers, wipes, changing pad, and backup onesie. And then I always have my burp cloth. Sometimes I use the nursing pillow. We're still kind of figuring out what we like the most. Yeah. And then outside of that, in this room, I just have things to make it feel cozy. I want to journal later today. I have that. I also have this newborn caddy, which I showed when I was first setting up. Let me turn this around. Yeah, I showed this in my other vlog about when I was like preparing to give birth, but this I just always kind of keep stocked with like diapers, those pads, burp cloths, passies, all those kinds of things. boys are at the park. Clayton finished work. He's already pretty much back to work this week. It's been less than a week since I gave birth, but Clayton and I are both self-employed, so I'm taking off a month. I'll go back in February, but Clayton's not really taking off, but he's still really flexible, so that's nice. But he just took Nico to the park. They're playing soccer. I'm just hanging out here and I'm like, should we talk about my birth? Should I tell the birth story? So, a way that I've grown as a mother, I think, or a person in general, since having Nico, is caring less about what people think and making decisions based on what feels good and peaceful for me. So instead of making a decision for my birth plan based on like what sounds good or right, like I'm very attached to things being like good or right or like the correct answer. I'm a Virgo. Instead of making decisions based on that, what feels good? So with Nico, my first, I ended up getting induced based upon my doctor's recommendations because I was past my due date. I know you can wait till 42 weeks, baby comes when baby's ready, but it was what she recommended. And it's what we did. And I sobbed the day before because I thought it was going to ruin my birth vision. Like, you kind of hear horror stories about Pitocin and epidurals and that, you know, I'm like a woo-woo gal. Like, I'm a good mix of like East and Western medicine. I wasn't against an epidural, but I just was like really scared because it sounded like it was going to ruin my vision of having this like peaceful and present birth. Then it ended up being wonderful. This is with Nico. Like, my induction and birth with him, so I had an induction and I had an epidural, and it was the most magical experience. Like, literally immediately after pushing him out. Oh, sorry, buddy. So immediately after pushing Nico out, I literally was like, let's do that again. That was so fun. Very positive birth experience. So then this pregnancy, I'm like, can we just like do it the same way? And part of me wanted to experience going into birth naturally, and I wanted to obviously let Remy come when he was ready. But I really loved the induction because my main priority, or like my vision for birth, obviously safety, number one. And then two is like, I just want to feel very peaceful and present. That was like my big thing. I wanted to feel like in the room, in my body, very aware of what was happening. For me, that was like 100% epidural. Like, extreme pain does not help me be present. And I respect and admire everyone's birth experience. Like, my mom had home births. I personally was born at home in a water tub. I love watching births, home births especially. Totally understand wanting to do an unmedicated birth, and it's so admirable. That's not for me, and I've accepted that. So with Remy, I was kind of like, man, I wonder if I'll get an induction, because I did everything to go into labor naturally with Nico and I just didn't. But then just like a little bit of Pitocin kind of like pushed me over the edge with him, and then it was like a really smooth and easy birth. So I did all the same prep this time, like acupuncture, dates, raspberry leaf tea, chiropractor, walking, all the things. So I knew my body was going to be ready. And as we got closer to his due date, again, I felt this like, it felt conflicting in my head of like, what will people think? Like, I'll get a little bit judged for like going a little bit more Western and like scheduling this with the induction. But I was like, I don't care. Like, what felt the most peaceful for me and for my family? Like, being in limbo mode for several weeks with me, Clayton, and Nico, high feelings. We are a very like feely family, right? And Nico especially is incredibly intuitive. He could tell that something was about to happen, and I just felt like we were all kind of like on edge, just waiting to like get into this. I also spoke with my pelvic floor therapist, and she was like, just warning you, second births go really fast, and had a bunch of stories about people like almost giving birth in the car. Again, not really like the energy I wanted going in of like 0 to 100, yelling at Clayton in the car as we're like driving to the hospital, me screaming in pain. Like, this is what I was envisioning, you know? So as we got closer to the due date, also my platelets were getting lower and lower. That's something that happened also with Nico. And the longer that I'm pregnant, the lower my platelets go. And so I just made the decision. I said, let's get induced between 39 and 40 weeks. I think it was 39 weeks and 2 days. And it felt really nice just to be able to schedule it, especially having a toddler. I was able to like set up and know who was gonna watch him and when and make a plan. So that's what we did. So I was scheduled for the induction. I had to go in at around midnight, 1 a.m. So like 1 a.m. Thursday morning. So Wednesday night, basically you go into the hospital. Second thing I did that was kind of unconventional. Again, making decisions just based on what feels good for me and not what people think. You may judge me for this. I was really stressed about leaving Nico overnight. And I'm almost embarrassed to say that I had not left him overnight until this. Mainly because like literally every single trip we've just taken him on, like I've literally had work trips to New York and I would take Nico with us and then hire a nanny in New York because I just didn't want to leave him. Like I just didn't want to. And maybe that's something I need to work on, and I have like separation anxiety with him, but also it's just such a short season in my life and I am his mother, and biologically it just feels unnatural for me to be away from him. And I wish that I wasn't like that, but I am. So I felt a lot of anxiety about leaving him at night, and also just in general leaving him, because I knew that when I came back, everything was going to be different. Could literally cry thinking about it. I've cried about it like once a day. Nico's my first baby, and like we've just done so much with him these past 2 years. We've traveled so much with him. We've literally changed our careers so that we can be with him more. It's the end of an era for him to become a big brother and to like now have the 4 of us. So I just was feeling all of this, and I was talking to Clayton about it, and I was like, honestly, the best thing you can do for me is stay home with Nico through the night. So I know that because he still sometimes wakes up in the night, just know that he has a parent helping him have a good night's sleep, and then come into the hospital like 5 or 6 a.m. once I'm already hooked up, and then be there with me. It's crazy, I know, but that's just like what was gonna make me feel the most like peaceful. That was it. So my best friend Kazmira, my bestie girl, took me into the hospital. We left the house at like 12:30 at night. And I was like, this is fun though. Like it was like such a fun energy. We wore matching beanies and matching Uggs. It was just like playful and it was fun, and we're like, let's go have a baby. So it was actually like really fun to like start off that way and then shift throughout like the labor process. And I knew from Nico that the induction takes so long. Like you have to get the IV, and then they like get you all set up, and then they start the Pitocin like super low. So I was like, it's gonna take hours before like, anything's happening anyway. Okay, so we get to the hospital, we're adorable, having so much fun, set up the whole hospital room. So like we don't want the overhead lights, so we set up like twinkle lights, Christmas lights, little fake candles. We have like a little snack basket for the nurses. I have cookies with Remy's name on them to celebrate his birthday. I have my diffuser with clary sage to help with labor. I have my music going and my hypnosis tracks. I have my crystals out. I have my own hospital gown, so I'm like cozy wozy. Such a vibe. Oh hi! We're on our way to go have a baby in our matching beanies. Yay! Super normal just to bring your bestie to go check into the hospital to have a baby, right? This 100%. Is super normal, casual Thursday morning on our way to Centennial Hospital. Welcome to our hospital crib. We got all set up. Kazmira hung the lights. Yay! Yay! Little Remy. We're here. We got the big room, and we set up all the little snacks.
This is like MTV Cribs.
Yeah, so freaking fun. We got little Remy's cookies. So she gets me all set up. They get the IV in. So Kazmira and I are like talking about her sister's birth story and just like chatting up a storm. And then they got the IV in first try. So I was like, yes, this is a great omen. This is gonna be so fun. Energy's high. So I get hooked up by probably like 1:30. By 2 a.m. I'm all situated. So Kazmira left because I was like, I'm just gonna take a nap, listen to my hypnosis tracks, and try to like let this thing do its work, right? At this point, I'm 2 centimeters dilated. And I was like, this is gonna happen fast, right? This is second baby, like things are gonna like pick up, right? Can't sleep a wink. I'm just like trying so hard, and I'm so tired at this point. I'm like, you have to sleep, can't sleep, don't fall asleep the entire time. Contractions are like not consistent at all, like maybe 10 minutes apart. And I'm just like, okay, why is this not working? She comes in, checks my cervix again, still 2 centimeters. It's more effaced, but she's just like, that's fine, like don't be discouraged, it can change really fast. And I was just like, I thought this was gonna happen faster than Nico, because like They say second babies are faster, but I guess I need to like change my expectations and stop comparing this birth to Nico's, right? So I'm texting Clayton the whole time. He's like asleep, and I'm glad because I'm like, you need to get your sleep because I'm not getting mine and I need you to be well rested. So my sister-in-law went over to our house. So she was there to watch Nico the whole day while we were at the hospital. And she was there just in case things did progress. Clayton would be able to leave quickly. So it's about 6 a.m. I'm like, take your time getting over here, like pick up breakfast and coffee, like not a lot is going on. So Clayton walks in the door at 6:45. Again, I'm feeling like nothing's happening and I'm kind of like, bummer. He walks in the door at 6:45. I stand up and give him a hug and a kiss. And I'm like, let me just like hold on to you while I do some like squats and, you know, bounce on the birth ball. Like, let's get things moving. By 7 a.m. So like, actually like literally as soon as he walks in the door, as soon as I give him a hug, my contractions pick up so freaking fast. All of a sudden they're 2 minutes apart and I can barely talk through them. And I've heard before that oxytocin, like the love hormone, is connected to labor. And I think Clayton put me into labor. Like as soon as he walked in, it was actually really adorable. I think my body was just like, okay, we can give birth now. And I felt like safe. And I was like, Dad's here, like, let's go. So I go to the bathroom, which is, if you know, you know, it's the best thing to be able to go to the bathroom before you're about to give birth. And so I was like literally talking to the nurse about that. And I was like, I'm so pumped. I'm not gonna poop on you guys while I'm pushing a baby out. And she was like, can you please not worry about that? And I'm sitting in the toilet and I'm like talking to the nurse and I'm like, should I get an epidural now? Because I know my doctor was coming through at 7 a.m. That's when she was gonna check in on me. And I knew she was probably gonna break my water, which again, I'm totally fine with because last time when she broke my water, it helped my body to go into labor more naturally and they could turn down the Pitocin or even turn it off. So I was like, let's do that. But the contractions were like getting intense and they were already like getting closer together. And I was like, should we maybe like call for that epidural before she breaks the water? Because once she breaks the water, like shit could get real. And she's like, it's up to you. And like, just let me know. So I'm sitting on the toilet and I was like, let's just do it. Just call the epidural because it might take a while anyway. I am so glad that I did. And the thing in my head was like, you don't get a gold star for like lasting longer. Like I knew I was gonna get the epidural in the end anyway. There was like no point in waiting longer. And my nurse was amazing. She's like very into like alternative approaches. She was like, girl, even with the epidural, like we can get you in different positions. You do not have to lay down. Like we can keep you moving even with the epidural. She had a peanut ball. She had like things she could put onto the bed so that I could like stand up and lean. So she was like, we're gonna keep you moving. So don't even worry about getting the epidural like too soon. Thank God I called for it when I did, because by the time he was setting up to like put it in, yeah, they were very intense contractions that I could not talk through, and they were very close together. I have been practicing my hypnosis, which is super helpful. So basically like one of the tracks, you like create this safe space, and mine is gorgeous. It's on the beach on a daybed. So I was having a moment just sitting there and he's like, you need to hold really still in between your contractions, you know, to do the epidural. And I was like, I'm on the beach, I'm great. Epidural is totally easy, does not hurt. It feels like a little like electric like twinge at one point, which feels a little bit weird, but really like the most painful part is like the numbing shot, which is nothing worse than like a normal shot. So he gets me all set up, and then I'm like laying back, you know, because you grab, like epidurals work with gravity, so you kind of have to like lay your legs flat and kind of let it work through you. It's not working so fast. I'm starting to freak out a little bit because I'm like, is this epidural gonna work? And I felt like I could manage the pain with correct breathing, and my nurse was amazing at reminding me of like the correct breathing to like relax. But it was not the experience I wanted to have. Like my hip was on fire. So she is like, just give it time. Let's like rotate, you know, towards the right side, because again, it works with gravity. So let's go onto your right side so it can kind of go there. It's slowly starting to like kick in a little bit, but I'm like, this is still hurting really bad. At this point, my doctor comes in. I'd say it's like 7:30, and she's like, you ready for me to break your water? I'm like, yep, let's go for it. I'm in pain, but like, let's just do it. Surely the epidural will kick in. So she breaks my water. She's like, you're about 5 or 6 centimeters. And I was like, okay, like that went pretty fast. I would say in the past hour, I went from like 2 to 5, like, okay. So I was like, what are you thinking? And she's like, you'll probably have a baby by like lunchtime. Mind you, it's like 7:30 in the morning. I was like, great, that's perfect. Cause like I was thinking afternoon. So lunchtime is great. So she leaves. I'm still feeling pretty uncomfortable. So I'm leaning onto like my right side to try to get the epidural to work, cause that was the side that hurt the most. And then the nurse is like, oh, baby's not super pumped about there not being water in you anymore. Again, it's happened with Nico where like once your water breaks, the baby doesn't have as much like room or like doesn't have like the water to help them move. So they get a little stressed. So heart rate is, you know, not perfect. She's like, okay, lay on your right side. See if he likes that more because there's like the umbilical cord and all this stuff. Like what position does he like the best? Okay, he doesn't like the right side. Okay, lay on your left side. So I'm like, you know, getting a little nervous. With Nico, they put like a hose back up in me and put more water into me, which then helped him be able to rearrange himself, and then he was fine. So I knew that that was an option. I was like, are y'all gonna put the hose in? And they're like, let's try to avoid that. Like, I think the positioning will help. But like, you know, you're just like watching someone watch the monitor, and I'm like, is she telling me everything? Like, is everything okay? She's like, okay, let me just check you really quick. So she checks my cervix, and she just like checked it, and then she was like, okay, I'm gonna go get Dr. Bleeker. And I was like, huh? I immediately went to like, oh, are we in an emergency right now? Like, am I about to go into the OR? Like, baby's heart rate wasn't, well, you just checked me and now you're going to get the doctor. And I was like, why are you getting the doctor? She's like, oh, you're ready to push. Literally, my mind was blown. Like, in that moment, Clayton and I looked at each other. I was like, you're kidding. Like, it took me like a full like 3 minutes to wrap my mind around, like I was about ready to push. So she's leaving, she's going to get the doctor. All these nurses are coming in. They're like, hey, how you doing? I'm so-and-so. Cause like the whole crew comes in, all these adorable little women. And I'm like, they're lying to me. I was like, they're not telling me something. They're all trying to like pretend like everything's fine and happy because they're about to tell me that like I need to go get a C-section or something, because literally I just like couldn't believe that this was happening. And I'm like looking at all their faces trying to like read them, and they're all just like, you ready to push the baby out? So I'm like, oh, I guess I am just pushing a baby out. There's no emergency. The baby's fine. So I finally like, I'm like, get present. Like, we're about to do this, and this is your last time pushing a baby out. And for me, it's just the fun part. Like, it's so freaking cool to like feel that and to experience it. So I was like, girl, you better get your head in the game. Like, this is gonna happen fast and you want to be present. So thankfully there was enough time where like everyone's like setting everything up. And my main nurse was like, when you feel like you have to poop, do not push, because she's like, that baby might just come out. Like, you gotta wait. So I was like feeling pressure, and I was like, is the head about to like pop out? Like, I don't know. So then everything's all set up, and it was really sweet. After I gave birth, Clayton talked about this moment, and he was like, it actually, it makes me want to cry. So he's the only guy in the room. It was all women. And he was like, it's just so cool to see womening. He's like, all these women who have like done this before or like helped women do this before, like seeing them all come in and just like cheer you on and like encourage you. God, it's like such a cool experience. And he's like, as a man, getting to like stand back and just like watch these women come in and like just support you and know what to do. Like, it is like insane thing, like a human's coming out of your body. And he just, because like women are so cool. And I was like, yeah, I feel like before having a baby, I thought, I can't believe like men don't have to do anything to have babies. Like, that's so not fair. Like, I have to do everything physically. And I now feel like men don't get to do this. Like, as a woman, like I get to experience this. It's just like the coolest thing. And to be in a hospital setting again, like I think hospitals get like a bad rap, and they can only have that like experience of like nurturing with women if you have like a home birth or something. And my experience just hasn't been that. Like, those nurses and my doctor were just, it's the coolest thing. It's just the coolest thing to like sit there and see all their faces around me and just be like, we are women and we are doing this together. It was so fun. So you can only push when you're having a contraction. They can see on the monitor when I'm having a contraction, but I can still feel it. Like, I love my epidurals because you can still move your legs. I can still feel things. I could still feel my contraction. So I knew when to push and had something to push against. Again, before having Nico, I didn't realize this. I think epidurals get a bad rap, that like you feel paralyzed. I didn't feel that way with mine. I felt like it was the best of both worlds. It takes the edge off, so I wasn't in excruciating pain and I could be really present, but I still felt like very much in control of my body. So they're like, all right, let us know when a contraction's coming and then you push against it. I could do whatever position I wanted, but I decided to kind of like, I was on my back, but like sitting up and holding my knees in. And actually I've worked with my pelvic floor therapist before, and that position worked best for me, where I've done push practices with her where she's like, okay, try it on your side, try it here, try it there. And that position is like where I push the best. I had packed a little balloon, and that is something I practiced with my pelvic floor therapist, where blowing into the balloon helped me activate like the right breathing and pushing. So I kind of like pulled out my balloon, did a little practice, and then they're like, okay, do it. So when the contraction comes, I pull in my knees and I push. And again, I'm so happy I practiced this with my therapist, because it's this mix of breathing and pushing from the top of your core, but also like relaxing and opening your pelvic floor. So that combination is crucial for not tearing, which was a huge goal of mine. I tore very slightly with Nico, but I did still need a couple of stitches, and I was hoping to not tear at all with Remy, and I didn't, which is crazy. At least to me, it just feels crazy, because it just feels like a totally different experience for recovery to not have stitches. So anyway, I pushed. They're like, doing great. Pause, wait for the next contraction. It took forever for the next contraction. We're like just sitting there kind of chatting, like waiting for it to come. And then it came. And with that one, I got his head crowning, so I could like feel his head right there. And then by the third contraction, they're like, this is it, give it to us. And I didn't like push as hard as I can. I pushed well, but I was really visualizing, what my therapist says is like, visualize your butt bones opening. Sorry, it's kind of weird. But for some reason that visual like helps just like open everything. And they were also supporting my perineum with olive oil. And he slurped right out, and they put him on my chest, bawling my eyes out. Like it's just the coolest things I've ever done, the 2 times that I've pushed babies out. And they're like, that's great. I'm just in awe. They deal with the whole placenta thing. They're like, you didn't tear, no stitches. And I'm like, oh, thank God. He was 7 pounds, 13 ounces. Nico was 7'7". So he was a little bit bigger than Nico, but around the same. They cleaned me up, and then they just let him lay on my chest, and he latched for an hour and a half. Everyone just left us, and we had an hour and a half of skin to skin, latching, nursing, bliss. And it went by in like a minute in my head, but I was so grateful, because again, even in a hospital, like they let me have that, and they wanted me to have that, and it was wonderful. So then after an hour and a half, they come in, they're like, are you cool with us? You know, like weighing him, measuring, all that stuff. So they did all of that. I was just on cloud 9. And then, oh, so he was born at, I forgot to tell you. So he was born at 9:06 a.m. So Clayton walked in the door right before 7, and I had him at 9. So within 2 hours, we went from nothing's happening to you're pushing a baby out. All since Clayton walked in the door. Again, I think that oxytocin did something, which is adorable. Transferred me, then we like moved into the postpartum room. So you go from like labor and delivery room, and then they kind of wheel you downstairs to your recovery room. And like, we were there for a few hours, and I still just kept saying like, I just can't believe he's here. Like that just, like it was noon, and I was like, I can't believe I've had a baby for a couple hours. Like it just had happened so fast. And then we told them, you know, we're trying to get home in 24 hours because we want to go home to our toddler. And they have a lot of the newborn tests they can't do until the baby is 24 hours. So they're like, okay, like tomorrow morning, like 9 a.m. we can start these tests. And they like put us top of the list for everything so they could prioritize us. So that night I had Clayton go home to spend the night with Nico to make sure he could do like bath time and bedtime with him, and just make sure that Nico felt like really like nothing too scary was happening. And he kind of explained some things to him, like Mom was at the doctor, Remy came out, we're gonna come home. And I felt good about that because I had the nurses at the hospital to help me. And so I also had him go to the nursery for a couple hours because I needed to sleep. And I felt like really comfortable with him being safely, I mean, he was just swaddled sleeping anyway, and just having nurses have their eye on him instead of me
exhausting myself the first night. I was like, I need to sleep. I hadn't slept in like 24 hours at that point. So they would take him to the nursery for a few hours while he was sleeping and then bring him in and I would nurse him. And so we got through the night and it was great. And then Clayton came back the next morning. He brought us breakfast and we hung out, and by noon the next day, Friday, we left and we got home right as Nico was waking up from his nap, and I bawled my eyes out right before I went into the house because I was so excited to see him, and also just already feeling all the emotions of him being the big brother and not my baby anymore. So I walked in first because I had been given the advice that it's best to walk in without the baby. Mommy's arms are open for Nico. So I was like, I missed you so much. I had some time to reconnect with him. And then I told him Remy was there. And so we sat down on the couch together, and then Clayton brought in Remy. He already took him out of the car seat so that he could just hand him to Nico. And I have the video of them meeting, and Nico was just so excited. He reached for him immediately, and I feel like he gets it. Like I kind of knew before, but then when he saw him, I was like, yeah, he gets it. Like, Remy came out is what he says. And Mommy went to Dr. Bleecker and all of that. So that is my birth story. Sorry, that was actually so much longer than I thought it would be. I thought it was pretty straightforward, but you get chatting, and here we are. Remy turns 2 weeks old tomorrow. Time is flying. I'm gonna close out the vlog here. Clayton's vacuuming downstairs if you heard background noise. We have been snowed in for the past few days, going a little stir crazy. So we are gonna get ready to go to happy hour with friends in a little bit. It's nice because I really don't want him like around a lot of people, but we can go out as long as I kind of can keep him on my body, which I do, and no one else is touching him. And I just like honestly need to get out, because as much as I'm trying to like stay chill and recover while I'm postpartum, I also just like need to see people, or else I go a little bit crazy. I didn't get to talking about all the things I'm doing to help with my recovery, but I also don't want this vlog to be like an hour long. So if you're interested, maybe I'll do like a day in the life or a week in the life in a little bit and include more of that. Like I'm meeting with my pelvic floor therapist at my 6-week mark, so there's still like a lot to do over the next like couple of months for recovery. But right now I've been really focusing on staying off my feet, although I did just move upstairs. I'm in our primary bedroom now. I just moved up here last night, so around the 2-week mark. I just like missed being up here and like being with Clayton and Nico, so I'm still trying to avoid going up and down the stairs a lot. I try to just like come up here at nighttime and then stay here and then go downstairs for like the day. I am like feeling really good, and honestly like most of my bleeding is gone, so I'm feeling like things are on the up and up, but I'm going to keep a watch on things. Like if my bleeding comes back or picks up, I know I'm overdoing it and I need to chill a little bit more. So I'm being really careful with that. I have been eating so well, so I gave my mom, I had the first 40 days cookbook. And I gave it to my mom. She lives nearby, and I was like, you cooking for me will be like the best thing you can do, especially for that first week. So she made a lot of the recipes from that book that are all more like Ayurvedic, which is like warm, soft foods with like all of these spices that are really good for your digestion. And that just felt so nourishing, especially again like that first week postpartum. Such good foods, like what's it called? Congee, I think is what it's called. It's like this like warm like rice pudding. I would have that for breakfast. She made this like warm millet thing. Anyway, highly recommend that book because the recipes are amazing. This like warm turmeric ginger tea. I'm also going to link this TikTok post that I did like a roundup of everything that I'm doing postpartum, so I'll link that if you want to check it out. It doesn't go as in depth, but at least it's like a summary. Hydrating a ton. The Element electrolytes have been really great for that. I did go to a chiropractor a couple days after giving birth, and I also took Remy. That just helped. I could just tell like my hips and my lower back were just sore, like that your tailbone and stuff like moves a lot when you give birth. So I wanted to get that into alignment as things are healing. And then a baby massage or a baby adjustment looks like a massage. So it's a lot of like massaging and just like relaxing their little body. She checks inside of his mouth for tongue ties, that sort of thing. So it's super gentle. It's not like cracking anything. And I also had my acupuncturist come over, like, was that like 3 days after I gave birth? And she does massage and acupuncture, and she did it at my house. And those two things, like chiropractor, acupuncture, massage, those things are such a treat and such a privilege to have. I've been saving up for these things and like focusing my money more on the things that help me recover and have a good birth experience. So I recognize that they are a huge privilege, and I'm not doing it a ton now. Like, I would love to honestly do those things like once a week, but I don't know that we are going to be able to do that this month. But I should probably schedule another appointment here soon, just to make sure I'm like taking care of my body. Besides that, again, like just making sure that I'm asking for help when I need it. Like, we've been so lucky to have amazing friends and family sending us meals, making us meals. We have a wonderful babysitter. Just knowing that there are going to be extra expenses this month, but that it's really worth putting our money there in order to make sure that like I heal well, we support each other, like Clayton and I, and Nico and Remy, all through this transition, because I just feel like that first month is really crucial, and it's worth like the extra energy and money to make sure that we can transition well. And I'm going to start work again in February, and we can like recoup those costs. But I think it's really important to ask for help and put your resources towards making sure you feel as good as possible. So that is where we're at. We are gonna go get dressed and head out for happy hour and see some people so we don't go stir crazy. But thanks for watching, and next time maybe we'll do like a little vlog, and you can see more what our day is like, and maybe I'll do like a little Q&A on Instagram too or something. So if you have any questions though, or things that you want to see, leave them in the comments, and make sure to subscribe. Thank you.